Hello and welcome to Good Games Spawn Point, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
And I am Admiral D.A.R.R.E.N.
Today on the show, we check out a fleet of vehicles and Skylanders Superchargers.
And it's time to batten down those hatches as we take to the high seas in World of Warships.
Ah, yes, I look forward to your naval command, D.A.R.R.E.N.
I have yet to lose a ship, Hex.
I want to believe you, D.A.R.R.E.N. But hey, isn't it time for your challenge?
Affirmative. Charge up those cerebrum spawnlings because it's time for another D.A.R.R.E.N's challenge. Today, I'm asking you this. In LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, who is the main villain? Answer at the end of the show.
D.A.R.R.E.N., I know it! Pick me! Me!
Calm yourself, Bajo. We have to give the spawnlings a chance to think of the answer.
Yeah, besides, I think Goose has some news for us.
Thanks guys, Goose here with all the Spawn Point news. Microsoft has announced that their game creation tool, Project Spark, will now be completely free to use. Previously, the game had used a free-to-play model with some content requiring you to spend real money to unlock, but now all content will be available for free. However, due to the change in business model, they will no longer be developing any additional downloadable content for the program. The president of Sony Computer Entertainment Worldwide Studios, Shuhei Yoshida, has hinted that Sony won't be making a follow-up handheld console to the PlayStation Vita anytime soon. In an interview, Yoshida said that while he was a big fan of the Vita, the dominance of mobile gaming has created a climate which isn't healthy for handheld games consoles. Many have pointed to the rise of mobile gaming as one of the main reasons that both Sony's Vita and Nintendo's 3DS hardware have sold significantly less than their predecessors. If Sony were to bow out of making new handheld consoles, it would leave Nintendo as the only major handheld console manufacturer. And that's all the spawny news for this week. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Goose.
Action stations! All hands on deck! Hoist the mainsail!
What about the poop deck, D.A.R.R.E.N.?
Scrub it, Bajo, because it's time to join the wavy navy in World of Warships! You'll find your hats under your chairs.
Whoop. Ah!
Stylish.
World of Warships is the new free-to-play game from Wargaming, the same company that brought us World of Warplanes and World of Tanks. Two teams take control of World War II era fighting ships and battle to control the map and send their foes to Davy Jones's locker.
Arr, arr, arr. There are 4 classes of ships. Fast but vulnerable, destroyers excel at sneak attacks. Battleships work best at long range, hurling high-caliber shells. Cruisers are all-rounders, and aircraft carriers are controlled via a real-time strategy interface, where you send your fighters and bombers all over the map.
Group 3, engaging enemy.
Arr!
Every ship has a role, and if you don't know your role, you'll soon get that sinking feeling. Drive a battleship straight towards the enemy fleet, and the smaller ships will swarm out and torpedo you.
You really have to think ahead, too. These ships are slow, and the maps are quite big, covering countless square kilometers. So you have to have a good idea of where you need to be 2-3 minutes into the future.
Oh, indeed. It's a bit like a game of chess. The ships you control are all accurately modelled on vessels from the first half of the 20th century. Without the guided missiles of today, these warships had to belt each other with their guns, which were tremendous cannons firing shells up to 46 centimeters in diameter. Such destructive power!
Okay, D.A.R.R.E.N. But of course, using these cannons means you need to be able to see your enemy to hit them, as islands will often block the arc of your shells.
And your turrets can only turn so far. So to get all your big guns pointing at a foe, you must face them side on.
Which means offering up the biggest possible target to your enemy's guns, and that's a big danger.
You'll also need to lead your shots, which means aiming at the point where you think your enemy is going to move into.
Which also means a lot of trial and error. Arr!
But when you line up that perfect shot...
There she blows!
Arr! Affirmative. Arr!
Ship sunk. We've sunk an enemy aircraft carrier. Enemy destroyer foundered.
You can tell that a lot of love has gone into World of Warships. Both the ocean maps and the ships have been rendered in such detail. It conveys a convincing illusion of scale, too. You really feel the weight of the thousands of tons of metal at your command.
I loved the atmosphere built up by the music and sound effects. The wail of sirens, the reassuring clunk that shells make when they load.
There are also quite a few subtle improvements on Wargaming's earlier titles. For example, they've finally implemented bots, and that's a good thing.
Affirmative. You never have to wait too long for a game. If the matchmaking software can't find enough human players in the queue, it will spawn enough bots to ensure that both teams are evenly matched.
Yeah, this game is easy to get into, but there's also quite a lot of depth here. All the dozens of ships in the game have different gunnery ranges, armor thicknesses, turning radii. So many options.
The biggest flaw, if you can call it that, is the free-to-play model. It's not pay to win, but if you don't spend real money on premium time, then unlocking and upgrading all of your ships the regular way is going to suck all of your free time into a vortex.
I agree, Hex. And if you want to start collecting the ships you unlock, then you need to buy port slots with real money. Doubloons!
And there are plenty of ships to collect. At launch, the game only boasted the American and Japanese tech trees, encompassing such iconic ships as the Midway, the Cleveland, and the mighty Yamato.
And now they've started rolling out the British Royal Navy and the mighty Kriegsmarine.
The Krieg what now?
The Kriegsmarine was the German Navy during World War II, Bajo.
Well, wrapping up, this does have that annoying free-to-play premium model, but it is a free game, and it's about as good as free-to-play gaming gets, so I'm giving it 4 rubber chickens.
You can just about feel the history radiating off the screen, can't you? I really enjoyed this, guys. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Say, Bajo, why do seagulls fly over the sea? Because if they flew over the bay, they'd be bagels.
Now I'm hungry.
Well, now it's time for you two to fly off to the spawn point desk.
Will there be bagels there?
Maybe. Negative.
Okay, well, let's start this week off with this question from Dane, who is in Melbourne, Victoria. Hi, Good Game. I watch your show every week, and it never gets old. Here's my 2 questions. How do you get mods on city skylines? I want this is-person view mod and the floods mods, but the instructions don't make sense. Second question, why do you call Darren a noob? All robots should be smart. Can you please answer? Bajo and Hex do these. Sincerely, Dane.
Well, Dane, we can definitely help you out with that. So to get mods on cities' skylines, just start up the game and make sure you're connected to the internet. Then in the main menu, you'll see a Steam Workshop window here, just to the right of the screen.
Click on the Steam Workshop banner and it'll launch a window which will show you all the community-made content you can find, from custom buildings to maps and mods.
Then just use the search bar here and type first person or the name of whatever mod you're searching for, and it will bring up anything that matches that description. Then just click on the little plus sign on the mod and it will be added into your game.
To activate it in your game, simply go to the Content Manager menu, select Mods, and make sure it's turned on. That's all there is to it.
Also, I saw they've just recently released their first big official expansion for Cities Skylines called After Dark, which adds in a whole bunch of stuff like a day-night cycle and all kinds of night-related activities like bars and clubs, as well as more crime but less traffic at night.
Yeah, it looks cool and the cities do look super pretty at night. And, well, we don't really call Darren a noob, it's mostly the spawnlings who call him a noob, so you'd have to ask them.
I don't know, Hex, I call him a noob sometimes. You know, he gets all flustered when you call him a noob, and I think that's pretty funny.
That's kind of mean, Bajo.
Oh, no, he knows that I'm only joking, and he calls me a noob all the time. Let me demonstrate. You watch, I'll call him now, and I bet he calls me a noob the moment he picks up. Darren's phone number at the moment is actually spelled out noob.
Hello. Darren speaking.
Hi, Darren, it's Bajo. How's it going?
Oh, hello, Bajo.
Hey, Darren, they found a fossil of your ancestors. Did you hear?
Negative.
Yeah, the Noobosaurus Rex.
A noob you are, but what am I?
Hey, noob says what?
Bajo, you're too noob for school.
Catch you later, Darren.
Oh, farewell,
Big
Bajou.
noob.
All right, well, as long as you aren't being mean to each other, then I guess that's all right. But let's move on to this one from Mario King in Crystal Brook, South Australia.
He's a noob, though. He's a total noob. Hi, GGSP. I am Mario, King of SA. I have so many questions about Super Mario Maker, so I'll make it short. 1. Is it true that you can play as your amiibo? 2. Can you put Yoshi eggs in blocks and ride him? If so, can I play as a amiibo Yoshi and ride Yoshi? 3. What is the best way to get Mario Maker? Download of the Nintendo Store or buy it on a disc. 4. To play other people's creations, do you need to be connected to the internet? 5. Do you think that there will be a 3D version? Thanks, Mario King out. P.S. You are awesome.
Well, Mario King, yes, you can play as your amiibos. Simply put the amiibo on the gamepad's reader and you'll unlock the character's costume.
They even add some neat little things like new sound effects, or for example, the Inklings can actually still transform into squids.
But you actually don't need the amiibos to unlock them. You can get them just from completing the 100 Mario Challenge.
And yes, you can put Yoshi eggs in blocks, but no, you sadly can't ride Yoshi as Yoshi. The Yoshi eggs are only available in the new Super Mario Bros. U and Super Mario World settings, while the amiibo costumes only work in the original Super Mario Bros. Setting, so you can never actually combine them. As for the best way to get the game, well, there's pros and cons to it either way. Downloading is great since it means you can get the game without having to leave the house, and you'll never lose the disc or need to get up to put the disc in.
Yes, the downside to downloading it is it will take up some hard drive space, and of course it will take a little while depending on your internet speed. It is a fairly small file though, at about 1.5 gigabytes, so it shouldn't take too long to get, and it's unlikely to blow out your internet allowance. But of course, check with your grown-ups before you get it.
Good advice. Owning it on disc has its benefits too. Like Hex was saying, having a disc will remove any hassles if you have slow internet, a strict download limit, or very little free space on your Wii U's storage. And perhaps best of all, if you have the disc, you can easily take it to a friend's house and play it there.
Yes, I'd say it's probably the biggest factor to consider. So if you plan on taking the game to a friend's house often, then probably go for the disc. Otherwise, downloading it will be fine.
And yes, you will need internet to play other people's creations. Everyone's levels gets uploaded online, and if your Wii U isn't online, it's not going to be able to find them and download them.
As for there ever being a 3D version, well, I mean, it's certainly possible. I just kind of doubt they will, though. I think they want to keep it simple. Making a 3D Mario creator would open up way too many challenges for most hobbyist designers to deal with.
But if you are interested in designing 3D games and levels, you could check out Project Spark on Windows 8.1 or 10 PCs, or Xbox One if you have one of those. And as Goose mentioned in the news this week, it's been made completely free as well, which is great.
Free stuff is always good. And if you're super serious about making games, then you can get professional 3D development tools like Unreal Engine and Unity for free as well. But let's move on to this one from Annoyed Person, who is about to lose it, who is in, I don't have a clue, in New South Wales. Person sounds really annoyed.
There's a lot going on.
And they're about to lose it. I am sick and tired of waiting for the next Pokemon game to come out. I know there's a new iOS game called Pokemon Go coming out, but what about the next true Pokemon game coming out, and what is it going to be called, and what do the starter Pokemon look like? Just answer me, because I've been waiting since January for something to be announced, but nothing. If you don't answer, then I'll go mental.
Well, Annoyed Person, when you say true Pokemon game, I'm assuming you mean one of the games along the lines of Pokemon X and Y, or Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And you know, I don't think I've heard anything about the next one of those.
Well, why don't we give Darren a call? I mean, he might have some insider gossip.
Good idea. What's his name? Oh, Noob, that's his name.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
It's Hex and Bajo.
Oh, hello.
Darren, Annoyed Person here, is about to lose it without any info on the next true Pokemon game, so we were wondering if you'd heard anything about it.
Well, Annoyed Person, I hope you're sitting down, or standing, depending on what you find more relaxing, because I'm afraid you are not going to like my answer. Currently, there is next to no information on the next true Pokemon game.
What, next to no? So there is some. I mean, maybe just a small hint, a smidgen, a tidbit of info?
Well, there's nothing concrete to talk about at least. All we have is speculation at the moment.
What? We love speculation, Darren. Speculate away.
Well, with no title currently announced, it seems unlikely that we'll be getting a new core Pokemon title this year. And Nintendo executives have even said that games like Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon will hopefully be enough to satisfy all the Poke fans' appetites for this year.
Okay, so no game this year, but has there been any hint about what the next game might be?
Well, currently, many Poke fans are theorising that the next title will be a sequel to X and Y, appropriately titled Pokemon Z. But as I said, that is pure speculation.
I guess we'll just have to wait for an official announcement then. But Darren, while you're here talking about Pokemon, the king of video games from Bajoville, Queensland, has a complaint about you.
Oh, a complaint?
Have you guys been to Bajoville?
No, I have not. I did not know it was a real place.
Yeah, it's a real place. It's pretty amazing. The official food is a cheese sandwich, of course, but a cheese sandwich royale. You know, it's a bit fancy. Yeah. And their official sport?
Yes?
Eating cheese sandwiches.
Oh, wow. Who's the mayor of Bajoville?
The mayor of Bajoville is Academy Award winner Jeff Goldblum.
Hello, GGSP. I have a question and a complaint about Darren. Starting with the complaint. A while back, Darren said Game Freak needed to remake Pokemon Black and White and X and Y. But if I'm correct, they haven't remade Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. And before the question, I wanted to let you know that I don't have a Wii U yet, but I was curious. Are Wii games compatible with the Wii U? P.S. Bajo, do these?
Bajoville was also voted 5 years in a row city that most worries about Sonic.
I would believe that, yeah.
It's also the sister city of Noobville.
No, it isn't, Darren. Oh, and by the way, you're busted, buddy.
Negative. I believe you'll find, Mr. So-called King of Video Games, that Pokemon Platinum was in fact an enhanced version, or a remake, if you will, of Diamond and Pearl.
Oh, he's right, you know.
Another noob cup avoided this time, Darren. All right, then off you go, little robot. Always a
farewell,
pleasure.
the tube.
Farewell.
And finally, yes, all Wii games are compatible with the Wii U. But that's actually all the time we have for this today, so if you'd like to ask us something, then you can go here and send it in.
The official exercise of Bajoville is actually making a sonic noise and running at the same time. Do you want to see?
Yeah.
It's a hard noise to make. It's hard.
I don't think that's the sound that Sonic makes. How about... The Skylanders gang are back with their 5th game for the series, and this time it's the biggest shakeup we've seen yet.
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
In Skylanders Superchargers, the usual platforming now takes a backseat in favour of vehicles.
And it's good to see that this game is being released on older consoles as well as new ones. And there's even a tablet version. We reviewed the PS4 version, and like the earlier versions, you just plonk your toys on the portal to bring them into the game.
Hot streak.
By default, the game comes with 2 figures and one of the new vehicles. You can also use any of your old figures from the earlier games, and they can even drive the new vehicles.
All geared up.
However, the earlier game's extra add-ons like swappable body parts or being able to trap villains do not carry over into Superchargers.
Yes, it is a real shame to lose last year's villains, but I will say they've done a good job on the design of the new vehicles as they feel very solid. So they're fun to play with even if the game is turned off.
Yeah, these are much more fun than the old figures which were just stuck on a base. You can actually move these around, but we should explain how they work in the game.
Affirmative. There are specific points in each level where you'll take a break from the platforming to perform vehicular challenges. Normally, the car ones consist of defeating enemies in an arena or racing to a destination. The controls for the racing sections are very much like your standard kart racer. However, the arena parts take a different approach.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Darren. Those sections really take some getting used to. I was smacking into walls for a few minutes until I realised that the vehicles control more like people during combat. So you just have to push the stick in the direction that you want them to move.
Yeah, there's no reverse button or anything. It's a bit weird. Thankfully, the flying and water-based sections are a lot more intuitive. Flying levels usually involve shooting down enemy fighters and protecting your teammates' ships.
Let's get out of here.
The water levels had the most variety, with objectives like clearing blockages mixed with boss fights.
We should point out that you will need to purchase separate vehicles on top of the standard game to play the flying and water levels.
You must have a sea vehicle to enter this zone.
But these levels are optional so that you can easily walk past the vehicle entrances and continue on with the main game. Which means you can stick with the starter pack. And then later, if you're having an absolute blast, you can consider buying a water or flying vehicle. But what did you think of the new vehicle gameplay?
Well, I think it adds a lot of variety to the game. I mean, it means you're never doing the same thing for more than a few minutes. Especially when you throw in the Skylanders Academy hub world, which is filled with side activities like racing championships and the card game Skystones.
Victory.
And how good's that giant gumball machine that drops out enemies for combat practice?
Time to see what you're made of.
Yeah, you're definitely right about the variety, Hex. There's so much in here. There's even a bunch of 2D levels that come to life from the pages of magical books. Although I do think by having so many different gameplay styles, it's hard for the developers to perfect all of them.
Affirmative. The racing, for example, is very simplistic, with wide tracks that are littered with boosts, and the platforming seemed watered down and unimaginative compared to last year's more inspired track team game.
Yeah, I think those are fair criticisms, but while it may lack last year's spark, what's here is still good fun and it's so polished. Each level looks really unique and is dripping with detail.
Flynn, the guards!
It sure does look amazing, Hex, and those cutscenes are as humorous as ever, with the bumbling Flynn helping you thwart the latest world-ending scheme from Chaos.
Either way, count me in. Boom.
Yeah, and even though Chaos is a villain, he's just so likable as well.
He loves exterminating noobs just as much as I do. And I was hoping to take some noobs to school in the new online racing championships, although sadly I couldn't find any matches.
Oh, there'll always be noobs to school in other games, Darren. But at least this game has two-player local mode, which I thought was pretty cool. When you're in a vehicle, one player shoots while the other drives. And then during platforming sections, you both fight side by side. And I always love how much sweet loot there is to collect in these games. So what are you giving it, Bajo?
Well, it's another strong package for Skylanders fans, I think, Hex. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I'm giving it 3.5 as well.
Vroom vroom! Vroom vroom vroom!
Well, sadly, we're just about out of time for this week, but we could not end the show without the answer to your challenge, Darren.
Affirmative. At the start of the show, I asked you this. In LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, who is the main villain? And the answer is the dastardly supervillain Brainiac.
Yes, every superhero needs an equally super foe.
True that, Hex. Next week on the show, we have some massive games, including the yearly soccer franchise face-off between Pro Evo and FIFA.
Go!
Gotta, 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 go!
It's a well-taken goal.
And we'll take a look at LEGO's attempt at joining the current craze of toy-to-life games with LEGO Dimensions.
Ow. You landed on my back, man. I'm Batman. No, I didn't say, hey, I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Oh, I can't wait to play the Portal playset. And where there's Portal, there's GLaDOS.
Yes, all right, Darren. Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out. Darren, snap out of it.
Darren out. Oh.